This is clip number 6 of the audio/video recording of the protest on Cinco de Mayo at Centro Cultural to demand our center back. This is the final clip, but it contains very important information because in it we see City Council member Mark Altenburg telling the protesters that we should keep this quiet. He also informs us that the mission of Centro has changed. How does he know this? Well, he's not involved on the board of Centro, but he seems to know an awful lot about it. He lets us know that the new mission of Centro has eliminated Mexican culture and Mexicans. So Mexican culture no longer needs to be the focus of Centro Cultural. Take a listen.
But I would say this, you know, when you bring up Lori Swanson and question the 990, that is serious and that needs to be handled organizationally. Going public with it will, I want to talk about destroying the organization. You know, Duke knows, I've worked with PEP, as soon as the organization's reputation is destroyed, you will not get private funders to come in. I mean, there are folks who will back away, including the city of Moorhead, that helps keep these doors open. And I mean, Youth Works, funded through the Moorhead Police Department, through grant funding, will back off and lights will go out.
Right.
And I don't know if you have the capacity through the People's Press Project to raise the funds necessary to keep this place going. One of the fiduciary responsibilities of a board of directors is to make sure that you have the money to keep the lights on. If the water gets turned off, you're evicted. And this whole thing, the whole thing goes down. So you have an opportunity, a small window of opportunity. And yes, have the last 3 years been squandered?
Yes.
And the reputation has been
reputation-
destroyed. The
Yes.
reputation has
The
slowly been
reputation-
destroyed
Yes.
It's
for
been
the past
eroded.
3 years by their lack of action. And whose
And
fault
you know
is
what?
that?
You can have
The
a-
board members.
And you know what?
And
You
they
can have a
have to be
building
held
that's open,
accountable.
but if the Mexican people don't want to come here anymore, it doesn't matter if you have a building. You've lost the heart of the organization when you've lost the people.
It does matter to the people in the neighborhood that I represent and was elected to represent.
It matters to the
Youth
people that
Works
want
is
to come
here
here.
and
Yeah,
Youth
but
Works
it
is
wasn't.
saving
But
lives.
Centro was not created for Youth Works. Centro was not created for that. Centro was created to preserve Mexican culture and to improve the lives of Latinos. That's what
Is that the mission statement?
That was the originally was.
I thought
That
it was
was
to empower Latinos and the community of Fargo-Moorhead to create social change.
that was just recently changed.
Okay,
but
that's
the organization
no,
was
but that is,
created.
If that, it doesn't
Well,
matter. The board acted and changed the mission
Right,
statement.
in the last 3 years
So
that were
the mission
squandered.
statement
But not a full board. Not a full
Not a
board.
full
Not
board.
a
And
board that
representative
represents
board.
this
And not a
community.
representative board of this
No,
community.
no,
Without ever
no.
discussing it with the community,
Where's
they
the
changed
bylaws?
it.
The bylaws say what? You need how many Latino members on the board?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I was never on
I
this
mean, you're
board.
saying that you understand.
I don't know what the bylaws of this organization
those bylaws
are.
have changed,
The
too.
bylaws have been changed.
Then you don't know and I don't know. So
Right.
we're coming from a point of ignorance, right? I mean, you don't know and I don't know.
No,
You wanna
I know this center was developed for the Mexican community.
Yep.
I know the people
But
that like to
organizations
help do
evolve
it.
and change.
We have a community that has not been included. I think the idea of doing community meetings, open community meetings, you could bring people back. You could have the center of the Mexican community right here, knowing that there's something that's owned by the
I mean,
community.
and I'm not gonna get in the middle of this way. My concern is the center is serving the neighborhood that I was elected to represent.
Yeah, but
That's
it's not
what-
It's
serving
not
the people.
serving. It's not serving.
It hasn't been serving the people and
It
it
has
hasn't been
not.
serving. Having the doors open doesn't mean it's serving anybody. It hasn't
not
served
serving
anyone.
anyone.
And you know what? Here's something that's really disturbing. When she's talking about Centro advertising at the university through their website for students to come here and drink, have underage drinking parties,
I've never-
and for there to be 2 police reports that are already
I have
filed.
not. This is the first time I've heard of that.
For the money that has been coming into this organization not to have any accounting, for 3 of the board members to have left and told me that they weren't able to get anybody to give them any accounting of what's going on. If there is embezzlement going on and the community hasn't even been allowed to use the facilities for anything, not even for a Cinco de Mayo party, it's beyond wrong.
Abner Arauza was not. He didn't resign.
He did not
Abner
resign.
Arauza.
He was kicked out.
Kicked out.
And
Kicked
in a-
out
in
because,
a- in a
because if
horrible
Abner
way.
was sitting here, I guarantee you that the little smirk that you just had on your face would change. It would.
It should
Because
be in the board
your
minutes.
story and his story, totally
where's
different.
Abner at?
And Abner was one of the founders
Talk to
here.
him.
Is he here? Or
No, he's not here.
He's not home because his wife is sick.
No, but I mean, is he still in this meeting?
Oh, yeah,
He's still in the community.
Yeah.
But he wasn't willingly, he didn't willingly resign from,
No, and all
from
of the
the
people
board.
that gave letters to her, that she says gave her letters that left, like my brother, like Berta, like Marta, I'm sure they wrote a very cordial letter for the preservance of the organization, to preserve the organization.
But, I mean,
for
you
the
had board
same
members
reasons.
leave PEP.
Yes,
Our
but
organization
if
still
somebody tells
did the work.
you,
I know, but I mean, you have I had board members leave my organization. Duke had to
right, but if you have several of the founding people, Abner
Oh,
Rouse
I've
has
had-
been in this community for a long time. He's been instrumental
Abner is fantastic.
in this
There's no doubt.
organization.
And his reputation is
for
as
him to
good as it
be
gets.
kicked out, pushed out, for this organization to be focusing on white-centered events, on LGBT
Well,
community, on non-Mexican, on non-Latino
But you
events.
said,
That
but
is
what
not
you
fair.
said though, Cindy, is true, is that the organization is separate from the facility.
Yes.
And the organization will exist whether the facility's here. So if the facility is being used to host GLBT, which is something you and I both hold close to our heart.
Yes, but not to the exclusion of Latinos. Do you understand that? When there's been no programming for Latinos at all, the only thing that's being held here in the last 3 years is stuff
But that's
for
that's a
non-Mexicans,
failure
non-Latinos.
That's a failure of Central Cultural.
Especially when we've been
Board
asking.
members.
Board
Well-
members. When we've been asking. Yeah,
But-
go ahead.
Like you said before, how I remember how you said that the group changes and evolves. Everything changes and evolves. But we were apes once, and we change and evolve. But in our hearts, we still provide for the family. We still do all that. From what I heard, that the thing was mixed with Latino community. So that's what, just because you change and evolve, because you get a better building or more staff, doesn't mean you just change what the heart is.
No, absolutely, but
apes
that's.
and everything still has a heart. They may evolve.
But Cindy said it right. I mean, if an organization comes forward, whether it was the women's organization was here, the New Sudanese that came here, if they're willing and able to pay rent,
That's great. That's
and they're
wonderful.
willing to put
but
on.
then you make
no,
sure.
wait. You're concerned that there are not enough programming for.
No, I'm concerned that there's none. There's none. There's zero.
Your concern centers on the fact that there's no programming for the
Right.
Latino community.
Right.
If other groups are able to step up and say, we'll use the facility for Sudanese or GLBT or anything else,
Then the board needs to leave, and we need to bring in a new board that is concerned with having events at the Mexican
But you-
Cultural Center for Mexicans,
the
in
legal,
addition
the
to
legal
all
right
the other people.
to make that decision lies with the current board.
Right. I
And the
understand
board
that.
outright denied membership onto the board.
But that's their right as a private nonprofit organization. They can bring in or deny whoever they
No,
want.
because from what I understand, the bylaws say that there has to be a certain amount of people on the board. And when there's just 2 females on the board and one is
I don't have
white
the bylaws,
and the
and
other one is
Cindy doesn't
half,
know it either. I
and
mean,
the
we
other
don't-
one,
There has to be.
these are
has
the
to be a
bylaws
minimum.
that
we're
Abner,
guessing.
these are the Abner, the bylaws that Abner told me and Professor Arauza told me that this organization has. The board member has to have a certain amount. It doesn't even have half of that. And the 2 that they have, one is white, one is half white and half
What's
Mexican.
wrong with being white?
But this organization is for
Latino
Latinos,
organization.
and at least it should be that half of the board members have to
What's
represent
wrong
the
with an
community,
organization
and that's
being
not
led
the
by a
community. 2 women are not the
non-Mexican or
community.
non-Latinos?
Not
What's wrong?
when one of the women's girlfriend is the one running the after-school program here. That's a conflict of interest,
Yeah.
and that's wrong.
Which after-school program?
YouthWorks was run by what was her name?
Candace Krill Falcone's girlfriend.
Her partner. It's a conflict of interest because when Neto came
What's the
here.
conflict of interest policy of the board?
When Neto came here, he wanted to put an after-school program created here by Centro for Centro, not by another organization, and they denied it.
What's the grant agreement with YouthWorks through the City of Moorhead's Police Department?
I don't know the details on that.
Do you know? I mean,
But there's no reason why Centro shouldn't be able to.
Well, it depends.
create
and I
their
don't
own
know.
after-school
I
program.
would have to go back and take a look at the grant agreement.
Whatever
between
it is,
YouthWorks.
I don't think that anybody here has a problem with any organization in the community having meetings here, participating in events here, or renting the place, or holding meetings with the Latino community. Nobody here. Does anybody here object to having those kinds of things here?
But what I
What we
overheard was
object
that-
to is not having the stuff for us. Not having a Cinco de Mayo party ever
let me ask,
anymore.
okay.
Not having
We need you-
meetings for us.
Advocacy. We need you to sign this and get the House of Representatives to move
Right,
on this.
we
'cause
will
have
all agree to
one-
do that, but that's
we
not
have
what we're
one
here to
last
do
chance.
today.
We have
We can
one-
do
well,
that, we can do
We
that,
have one
but that's
last
not what we're
chance
here
to influence the House of Representatives in the state of Minnesota to
And
get
we
this
will.
through. This is advocacy.
I understand, but that's
I mean,
not
the one thing I
that's
signed
not
up
the
for today, you
purpose
said
of-
about the website.
That's not the purpose of Centro, and what we're here to do is to make sure that Centro is for the for the
Yeah.
Latino community here in Moorhead. This is great for all Latinos,
Right.
but Centro doesn't represent all Latinos. This represents all Latinos. We want to
Actually, this
help and
represents more
support
than just Latinos.
Okay.
This represents immigrants.
all
from-
immigrants.
Right.
Yes.
But what we want from Centro is to provide services and support for the
Well,
Latino
do you want a
community
Latino
here.
organization or a Mexican organization?
It
We're-
was started
we're
by
in one.
Mexicans, Mark.
I know.
I'm making the distinction because when you exclude the Mexican community completely, that's a problem,
But-
especially when it was started by Mexicans and for Mexicans. Look around. Right over there, there's a pyramid. That's Mexican. The bureaus outside, they're Mexicans. Yes, there's nothing wrong. I don't think my Colombian sister here.
And Mexicans are Latino.
And you know what? And you know what? My Colombian sister sitting right next to me right now,
Yeah.
she has no problem with this being a Mexican-led organization. It's still run by Latinos, and we still have the best interest of the Latino community at heart. That's not the problem. The problem comes when we try to have a white director. The problem comes when we have a board that
That's
is only two
majority
people
white.
and that is a majority
I'm-
white.
I don't-
That's a problem
I don't
because
have-
our voices still have to run the heart of the organization.
The white was who? Was
I don't know what her name is.
She's white. She's not Hispanic at all.
or what about her kids?
Her kids are half
But she's not-
Hispanic.
her kids
but
are
her
not on the
kids are
board.
not on the board.
Her children are not on the board.
And they're not the
But
voice.
the bylaws, I don't believe the bylaws, do the bylaws say you have to be
It doesn't
Mexican or-
matter. If you're running an organization for Latinos, you need to have a person that's Latino running
Any
it.
organization.
Any organization.
Any
Question
organization.
here really quick. Who, between, just for example, and no disrespect or anything, between you and I, right? Who understands the Hispanic culture a lot better, you or I?
Well, obviously, I would say what you need to do on a board is bring people in who can get the board
That's not what,
functioning.
that's not what, that's not.
Absolutely, Latino community should
And
be running this
this
board.
organization was created for Latinos, to improve the lives of Latinos. Who's gonna know how to do that better than a Mexican or a Latino? Who's gonna know?
And like he was saying,
That's like me running the board. I'm white. My husband's Hispanic. I don't
Right.
know nothing. You guys
Yeah,
want to
you're-
learn
And that
Spanish?
doesn't make
You're
you
not gonna
Hispanic,
learn
right?
anything
That
from
doesn't make you Hispanic. You
Exactly.
don't make her Hispanic.
Right.
That's
I
right.
understand
Your
the
husband
culture,
doesn't
but that
make you
doesn't give me
Latino.
the right
Yeah.
to come in and try to teach you guys something.
No, because
that
you're
I
gonna
don't
run it
know.
into the ground.
It doesn't work like that.
Oh, there's no disagreement. All what I'm saying though is in board governance, in nonprofit work that I've done and Duke has done, what you do when you create a board of directors, especially in an emergency situation like this, you've got to set out and say, who can get this ship a right again? And you need, as Christine and I were talking about, you need board members who are willing to understand 990 governance, who understands, you need an accountant, you need a lawyer, and you need to get this ship sailing again. And
Yeah, but there's
Christine
been
and
a
I-
lot of people that have applied and have been denied.
What I'm saying right now is Latino, absolutely. Right now, you're in a period where, from my conversations with Christine and what I'm hearing here, is this organization in 90 days may not exist. And you can't step in and save it.